Well, hey everyone, welcome to the zoo. It is Sunday Night Live here on YouTube, Sunday Night Live on Patreon. We all gather, we come to the zoo and we talk about what the heck is going on out there. Folks, it's hit the fan. You want to hear something crazy? President Joe Biden has decided to just abandon Afghanistan. And what makes it even worse than just the Taliban, this bunch of wild hooligans that we spent how many trillions of dollars competing, battling, fighting against? How many American lives have been lost? And Joe Biden just says, yep, we're just going to let it all go. Not only has he thrown away all that treasure, not only has he abandoned and basically just treated like absolute shit the lives, blood, the pain, the suffering, the work of all veterans, right? He's also told any remaining American citizens there, people that are there working that were formerly under protection of the Afghan government in the United States, basically, you're on your own. You're on your own. Thank you, Joe Biden. But wait, there's more. Folks, on the prepared mind, we're not done with that. No, it is the zoo, right? And get this, folks. Joe Biden, he's such a winner. He's done such a great job in Afghanistan by handing an entire country over to a bunch of radical knuckleheads. He's decided to hand over our education system to a bunch of knuckleheads down in Florida. What is it? Governor DeSantis, the legislature said, hey, look, you're not going to force masks onto everyone's faces. You don't have that authority, right? They said, well, if you try that, we're going to cut your pay and cut your funding. So what does the federal government do? Let's see. The federal government comes in and says, well, you're violating the law of your state. But what we're going to do is we're going to pay you to do it. That way you can't be financially punished. How is it? Where does this guy, does Joe Biden have a printing press in his basement? What the hell is going on, folks, if it isn't shit hitting the fan big time? Welcome to the zoo. I'm in comfortable Studio A, bringing you guys our live Sunday night marathon where we sit down and we hash everything out. Now, look, I've got a ton of things I want to talk to, but at the zoo, you guys, you get to make the call. What is the subject matter? And I'll talk about it unless, up to and until we get to the point where I violate terms of service. And I won't do that. I haven't done that. In fact, there's some very interesting things going on behind the scenes that way. But still, folks, you guys get to pick the subject matter. I'm going to start with one more little thing here. One more itty bitty thing that I find absolutely fascinating came up this weekend. You can ask questions about last week. You can ask what happened this weekend. You can talk about the future, right? There's a button up here, a super chat button. There's all kinds of buttons to push. You can go to, PayPal, super chat button. Give me your question. I'll make you famous. Folks, get this. In California, at a grade school, a father showed up to pick up his child from the school and discovered a mask on her face. And he became very angry. And a teacher came bustling out, I guess, and got in this guy's face. And so guess what? The teacher ended up in a hospital. You bet. A parent sends an elementary school teacher to the hospital over a fight about the masks. You wonder, is there going to be violence? Well, if schools are going to continue to slap masks on kids' faces, you bet there's going to be problems, folks. Now, here's the deal. Here's what made this extra interesting to me. This happened in Sutter Creek, California. And there's a picture of a school that I'm incredibly familiar with because across the driveway from that school, Sutter Creek Elementary, is Amador High School, home of the Thundering Herd. And that was my high school. Anyways, folks, interesting stuff. I wonder, did I have an impact on that school? Or did that school in that area of the state of California have an impact on me? Right now, let's see, I moved up into extreme Northern California where they didn't really like Gavin or Newsom, Gavin or the Gavinator, the big pussy from Sacramento, Gavin Newsom, the governor, right, is so hated by the people up there that they took years and they finally got the recall petition signed by enough people that they could have a recall election. And it just so happens that an incredible amount of fires, in fact, the worst fire ever recorded in California history, worst single fire is now going, the Dixie Fire. Right? Did I have a mark on that town, or did that town have that area of the city, that country, that big country that we call Northern California? Did it have an effect on me, or did I have an effect on it? Or is it a symbiotic relationship, folks, between an area that loves freedom and the people that make that area work? We're going to find out as this country gets more divided, more split, more segregated between not right and left politics. Because that's a game. That's a pea and shell game. It comes down to, really, folks, it's partisan. You bet it is. Is it freedom or fascism? That is the big question. Big question. All right. Enough of my stuff. Enough. Cheers to you guys. Welcome to Sunday Night Live at the zoo. I've got some water that's been imported from Scotland. Single malt water. Oh yeah, freshly out of a 15-year-old keg. I'll tell you what. I want to thank my good buddy Steve Conlon over there in jolly old England for buying that bottle. Now let's do this. Let's get into your questions right off the bat. You got a question? Hit the super chat button. Donate to the Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back John button. And I am here. I'm here in North America, and I'm staying put. Kaz may go. Kaz at fifth dimension. No, Kaz at fourth dimension. Kaz at the fourth dimension channel may go to the RMZ and spend a little time there. We're going to find out if he does or not. It's up to him. He has my permission. He has my permission to go there. But Kaz has also been working on some promotional artwork for the Prepared Mind channel. So you're going to see some new logos. You're going to see some new thumbnails, some videos. Oh, just kind of great stuff. And on the videos, by the way, Jolene has been doing fantastic artwork on those, and it's helping attract attention. Our TikTok efforts are paying off big time. We're getting more people coming from all walks of life, folks. All walks of life. I was talking to a realtor last night. Actually, I've talked to 2 realtors in 2 days. Both of them are up. They're up on everything medical that you and I would love to talk about out loud. They're up on everything having to do with politics. I was really surprised. And I said to both of them, are you sure you don't watch the Prepared Mind channel? They said, no, well, we've done our own research. And I said, that's really good. Now you should go to the Prepared Mind .club, the Prepared Mind on YouTube, the Prepared Mind on Patreon for $2 a month, right? That way we can support our continuing efforts to get this information out, disseminate it, and also collect information. The more people we have on the network, the more information we collect. So let's do this. Let's move on to David G. He's got a $10 super chat. Thank you, David. And here's what he has to say. Going to have to watch later. Doing projects on the house, jibber jab, coming my way at work, and have to be ready to bounce. Thanks, John, for all you do. Hey, David, we appreciate your continuing support, your efforts to help us do our job. It has just been an incredible, incredible week, month, year. Good golly, it is absolutely blowing me away, folks. So I've got some more topics I'm going to cover, and we are going to now surpass the President of the United States for how many people want to listen to him talk. He can spend what, 1.9, 2.5 trillion dollars, and he has a harder time, actually he fails at getting more people live on his presidential YouTube broadcast than you and I get right here, right now on Sunday evenings at the zoo. It's not, I mean, I've tuned into him live, folks. The President of the United States having 350, 375, sometimes less people watching him live at any one moment. Right now, we just topped 400 and we're heading up. We've had, I think at the best ever, over 2,000 people live at one time. That's how popular this show is, because of how popular the topic is. And that is, how jacked up is the United States of America and the world? It is incredibly jacked up. And if you aren't, folks, if you're not ahead, if you're not on your feet and moving in the right direction, you're going to be like Indiana Jones in that cave where that giant freaking round stone is rolling after him. If you're not a prepper, if you're not ready, that thing's going to mow you down and squish you like a greasy bug under a shoe. All right, we got Johnny Freedom Seed with a 556 donation. One of my all-time favorite donations, because it's one of my all-time favorite calibers. Here's what he says. After church last night, was able to talk to other parishioners about what's going on. Was able to gather a crowd and even a pastor. Thanks for ya, Semper Fi. I tell you what, folks, the more informed we are, the more capable we are of talking about it with others. Now, some people go, yeah, I've heard all about that, John. It's cool. Oh, yeah, I kind of heard about that last week. Oh, really, John? These people, I talk to in public. I'm kind of familiar with it, but I had other stuff to do, and it's hard to get back and remember what I'm supposed to be looking for. So that's why we do the Prepared Mind broadcast. So it's not only if you're on Patreon, you get to watch it live and participate, but it's recorded, it's held, it's a snapshot in time of all the shit going wrong and what you could be doing about it. It takes some effort. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Once you have that stuff, all you have to do is keep up with the news and understand the evolving progressive nature of the progressive communists and what they're doing. Keeping up with them, folks. We got Leroy Luscombe checks in with a $2 super chat donation. Hit the super chat button. Pow. I'll make you famous. He says this. Hunter's third computer stolen by the Russians. Oh, yeah. Well, in case you missed it a couple of days ago, there was a video released that Hunter had in his emails that has been captured. A video of him basically naked in a hotel room with a naked hooker, right? Complaining that a third laptop of his. Now, let's see, this came from a video on what, number 4 laptop that was stolen? How can he be on laptop number 1 or 2 talking about laptop number 3 disappearing? Unless this is the third one we're learning about and he lost like 1, 2, who knows? This guy, he loses laptops like a body function. You have to wonder how compromised he is, and as a consequence, how compromised the President of the United States is. What information has he shared? I mean, we've heard all about, well, the big guy gets his 10%, big guy meaning Joe Biden, that he's had an incredible amount of business with the mayor of Moscow's wife. I think that was a $3 million trip. Let's see, business he's done with the Chinese in the order of, I think, billions of dollars. Yeah, and this guy, he sat on the board of Burisma in Ukraine, having no experience in the oil industry or at this level of executive management. Oh, yeah, that would be the vice president's son. Let's just put him on there and shut him up. That way the big guy gives us what we want. How much more is there to come out of Hunter Biden's mouth that isn't smoke from his crack pipe? Crazy stuff going on. Mr. Skylight checks in with a $99.99 pow super chat donation. Thank you very much, Mr. Skylight. By the way, he says, love you, bro. We got your 6. That is super critical, lad. We need you. Folks, you may not realize it, but there are many of you who supply an incredible amount of information to me. Not only do you cause me to lose sleep and to worry and obsess excessively, over on Patreon, there are two topics I cannot talk about. One of them has to do with events that occur in the beginning of November. The other one has to do with events that occur having to do with medicine. I can't talk about them. But over on Patreon, we post, folks, commentary. We post articles. We post videos of reputable, intelligent, scientific, medical people who have an opinion that you're not going to see on CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, MSNBC. Did I say CNN? You'll never see what these guys say on CNN. And you're not allowed to see it on the Prepared Mind either. But on Patreon, go to patreon.com. Go there and go to the Prepared Mind. And guess what you're going to see? Oh, you're going to see a lot. In fact, there was a YouTube video that was 12 minutes long on YouTube. And they say everything used to say, everything I've hinted at, everything that I have heard, doctors, physicians, smart scientific dudes. And in fact, there's been several of these, but this was a private three-way conversation posted on YouTube 1 month ago. 3.5 million people have watched it, and it hasn't been taken down. Now, I did not want to link that to YouTube and go, well, it's on YouTube, I'm just linking to it. Because they might say, well, that's misinformation, John, and you help participate in the dissemination of it. So strike, you're out. I'm not going to allow them that. But on patreon.com, I can. I have. I did, and I will continue to do so. We've got Darcy checks in over on PayPal with a PayPal donation. She has this to say in a great $50 super chat donation. Darcy, you and others are making this channel happen. Thank you again. She says, hello, John. Biden seems to be going downhill mentally at a faster rate. I saw a clip earlier this week where he had trouble finding his way back into the White House after a recent flight on Marine One. What do you think is stopping the Democrats and Republicans from removing him from office, since his decline is very noticeable now? There's a couple of thoughts on that. There's conventional wisdom. There's unconventional wisdom. Number one, the Democrats don't like Vice President Kamala Harris. They don't like that person, Sam I am. No, they don't. They have been the women in the House, I believe, of Representatives, the Women's Caucus, whatever the hell they are. I don't understand why we need all these little splinter factions. Oh, yeah, they're Democrats and they're divisive. And it's easier to split people off if you can say, well, you know, you either like us because we're women or you're a scumbag. And so they drag people to these little special groups. You either like the LGBT crowd or you're a terrible human being. And so they peel and split people away. Anyways, they don't like her. They don't want her in there. They don't, folks. There is a problem with Kamala Harris. Now, is it that she can be bought off really easily? Let's just think about that for a minute. Could it be that there is a lot of compromising information about her that has yet to come out? Yet to come out. That maybe, I don't know, the Russians have, the Chinese have, some European has, some hacker has. Could there be information about her on Hunter Biden's various missing laptops? That if she were to step into the presidency, it could be released and be even more damaging to the Democrats. Now, here's another thing, folks. They're calculating that if they bring an incredibly unpopular person into the White House as the president, Kamala Harris, that it will affect their 2022 elections. It'll be such a huge turnoff, folks, because she is not, and when I say a turnoff, I'm not talking about her appeal. I'm talking about her political gravitas. Very, very, very unappealing. That she could hurt the reelection efforts of Democrats in the House and in the Senate. Because people will be like, we don't like Kamala Harris, and I'm just not going to vote. They're afraid of that, folks. They are so damaged as a political party that they are splintering, that they're attacking each other now. And the mainstream media has been fabulous, folks, at covering it up, hiding it, and doing the pea and shell game. Well, look over here, don't pay attention to that. That is their MO, their modus operandi. And yeah, so they're trying to do that. Now, the Republicans, for their part, they're complete cowards, absolute cowards, especially in the face that they don't have enough votes to do anything. They don't have enough votes to impeach Biden or impeach Kamala Harris. They don't have it. They can't even bring it up for a vote. All they could do is just start whining like a bunch of sniveling wimps, which basically they are, because of all the rhinos amongst them. In fact, there's been a call to censor Republican senators. And I think there's been some action in that regard, Darcy, that, Republicans who voted for the Biden debacle, his funding, the funding program that he was bragging about, where we actually have more people watching us live than that, right? I can't remember, was it Lindsey Graham who's in trouble? Anyways, they're all in trouble. They're all a bunch of weak-kneed rhinos, Republicans in name only. And that's another reason why they won't speak up. Not only do they not have the votes because they've acted cowardly and they're afraid of losing their seats. They don't want to make a bunch of noise, attract attention, and then have the Democrats and all their social stooges attack them. Now, here's the deal. You cannot pacify a tyrant. You cannot make a tyrant like you by kissing their ass or agreeing with them or being nice. They're going to attack these rhinos anyway. They're going to attack all Republicans anyway. They have always done that. But these idiot Republicans, the idiot ones, not the ones that are smart. There's a few of those, right? Some of my favorites, of course, are, Lauren Boebert and Big Marge and Matt Gaetz and Devin Nunes and, Larry Curley and Mo, all of them that have guts and integrity and some smarts. They're supported by their people. Is it Mo Collins? Anyways, that's what's going on. They're the Democrats, especially, who have the power and authority to impeach, remove, whatever. They're afraid of Kamala Harris. They're afraid of what she stands for, what she would do, and how compromised she is. Right? So she's like the third string quarterback that you don't even want to admit is on the team. And that if you get in that kind of trouble, because Biden really isn't the president in the sense that everyone loves him, that he's extremely powerful. Right? Not like President Trump, who was beloved by the Republican right. If I've got 579 viewers live like we have right now, and Biden only gets 400, 350 live, how popular is that guy? When some little human being, just a regular guy, regular anonymous dude, walked down the street today, no one recognized me. No one recognized. 2 days ago, I was mistaken for Kevin Nash again, but for the most part, yeah, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. All right, folks, we got C Solar checking in with a $10 super chat donation. And we got another one over there. Okay, I'll get back to that. There we are. We're going to go with a C Solar. He says, good evening, John, and good evening to you, sir. He says, after working at Duke U for 26 years, they are threatening to end my career if I don't get it. If I don't get the medical it that they want. What the fuck? He says, send me patriot-friendly legal counsel, please. Okay, folks, this is a big, big deal. C Solar, I want you to get Jolene your contact information. I know we've got it somewhere, but if you would get that information to Jolene, we need to get you in contact with somebody. And folks, attorneys who are seeing the violation of our rights, they are lining up now and putting together an effort to create class action lawsuits on the behalf of people. Now, there was a fantastic story that came out. I think it's in my list of stuff There it is. You are in Duke U. I believe that's in North Carolina. This is South Carolina, and I'm sorry to say this, but hey, it's coming, man. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Now, here's the thing. If they damage you in 2021 and fire you, and it comes out that what they've done is illegal, if it's a violation of your rights, they can be sued in the future or just threatened with being sued, and they will settle with you, reinstate your job, pay you punitive damage, etc. But get this, the University of South Carolina, unfortunately not Duke U, but the University of South Carolina is forced to cancel their mask mandate after the Attorney General says it's illegal. There is a huge fight on this, man. Huge. C Solar. I do feel it's important, though, that we get attorneys or at least a direction to start in. Now, for my part, there's already one lawsuit that's been started, and I'm thinking it's going to be el pro bono against somebody who is a complete asshole. But YouTube and other big tech media giants are going to be, shall we say, aggressively pursued for the financial destruction that they have rained down on people by canceling them. Those days are coming, folks. As shit hits the fan, as things get worse. Oh yeah, if things get really bad, if we go Mad Max, it's going to be kind of hard to hold court, if you know what I mean. There's going to be a lot of people holding private, shall we say, private consultations, there's going to be a lot of private justice being distributed. Okay. Well, earlier this morning, I did a quick little vid, and I put it out on all the Prepared Mind channels, bam, 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 simultaneously. And Rami Mersh said, hey, I'll be there. So Rami Mersh, $20, 20 euros, pardon me, into the get the fuck back and stay back. He hit the super chat button up here. And thank you very much, Rami, who's in the Netherlands. He says, some support from the Netherlands. I've been watching Rico Verhoeven, the king of kickboxing, is from the Netherlands. Been watching his stuff lately. I'm a little too old for mixed martial arts, I've decided, at age 51. But I still think I can do boxing and kickboxing for cardio workout and to sharpen my skills. Thank you very much, Rami, for that. And yeah, Rico Verhoeven's an ass kicker. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. I'm 6'6", 270 pounds. We got a lot in common. Anyways, folks, self-defense. Self-defense, even though I'm authorized by law and by permit to carry concealed weapons in, I think, 39 different states, there's times when I may not be carrying. And I still need to be a formidable self-defense person for not only myself, but others. And it's come up in times past where I've been around other people and there's a threat. And it's good to be able to help others, folks. But as pointed out, when I said, you know what, should I be a bouncer at a night club / restaurant? A lot of people thought I was talking about a strip club. No strippers, no stripper poles. But they're like, you know what? There's going to be people that are going to see you and they're going to pick a fight and then they're going to try all kinds of shit, right? So don't do it. Well, right, I didn't. But if I see someone committing a crime, it's going to be hard not to get involved, to not want to stop it. Anyway, so training is important, folks. Cardio, self-defense, use of tools in self-defense, being proficient with whatever it is you have. Because as shit hits the fan, gets worse. If we go into Mad Max scenarios, hotspots, if you will, there's going to be no one there for you. The same way Joe Biden told citizens over in Afghanistan, you're on your own. You better find a place to hide. That is not the most powerful nation in the world talking. That sounds like something that I can't even pick a country. It sounds like something that I don't know, Portugal would say. That sounds like something that Moldavia would say. I don't know. I can't even pick a country that's that chicken shit to tell their citizens you should hide. He didn't even have the guts to say, well, get a shotgun, go out on the balcony and blow off a couple rounds. Bam, bam, get a shotgun. He didn't even do that for these people. He's like, you better hide. You're on your own. Screw you. We pulled out. Absolutely incredible. Mega Dave WTP checks in with a 556 donation. He says, they're backing us into a corner, getting ready to bite. That is the attitude of many Americans, that the government is doing that. They're backing us into a corner. You can't go this way very much. You can't go that way. And the more you get into a corner, a very narrow corner, the tighter it is, the less options you have. They are doing that, folks. They're pushing us into a corner. And it is not a nice feeling, not a bit. And as the days, the hours, the days, the weeks progress, folks, we're going to be describing more and more in detail how we can't go this way and we can't go that way, and we're being backed up. Now, there's a couple things you can be backed up. You can be backed up into a corner. You're back against the wall. You can be backed up to a cliff, right? And you've got a couple choices. You can get on your knee. You can take a knee before them, submit to them, and do as they say. Or you can stand up and act ye like men. Heidi Carson sends a $10 PayPal. Thank you, Heidi, for everything. She says, you rock, dude, with lots of really cool little emoticons. Thank you, Heidi, for everything you do for us week in, week out. Heidi, folks, has been a longtime supporter. I think she was the winner of the very first silent auction and got an autographed shirt out of the RMZ. Unwashed, by the way, because I didn't have a washing machine. Thank you, Heidi. Whenever I read Heidi's name, brings a smile to my face. We got Johnny Freedom Seed with a 762 donation. He says, yep. 762 is also one of my favorite numbers and favorite calibers. I like the 762 by 5.1. That little 391, you know, it does the job. Folks, what matters, though, is when it comes to calibers, when it comes to your Freedom Seed spreaders, you need to be proficient with it, and you need to have adequate supply. Adequate supply. When it comes to something like food, I really think people, at the bare minimum, have 3 months of food. You may only need 2 months. You only may need 1 month. But if people around you, and you know that things are going to get better, it's okay, you might want to be able to help others. At the same time, things get so bad. You're like, hey, this is bad. I'm going to, we're going to have to rely on this. And the other thing about food is it's going up. The price of food is going up. I actually had one of the realtors I talked to said to John, what's this deal with pork? I was like, pork? What do you mean pork? They've outlawed pork products in California. And I said, now, wait a minute here. I would have heard about that. That's almost a crime against humanity, taking their bacon. Everyone loves bacon. Anyway, the deal with that is like the California years ago did this thing where you can't eat horse in California, horse meat, and you can't sell a horse knowing it's going to be processed into horse meat, even if it's out of state. And then they did the free range chicken thing. All eggs have to come from free range chickens. Increase the cost of eggs because that takes more real estate, more property, more expense, more overhead. Those eggs are going to cost more. Now they're doing a pig thing where pigs have to have some sort of special consideration given to them. Once again, it's going to raise the price of pork in California. It's probably going to raise the price of pork products for everybody because I believe that the big pork states, if they sell to California, right, they're not going to have 3 or 4 pens set up for California hogs only. I believe that once they convert over, they got to do the whole ranch. The entire pig farm has to be, it has to be in line with the California mandate. So everyone across the entire country is going to have to pay more for their food. One state, California, can do this. One state like New York, one state like Illinois fucks it up for everyone else. Is that really the way a union should be run? I'm talking not a union like, you know, union shop, but rather, is that the way a union of free states should associate, where one makes a dictate and screws the rest of them over? Well, they've done it. They've absolutely done it. David Miller checks in with a $5 super chat. We got the super chat button up here. You hit that. Your contributions going to the GTFB fund. And stay back. It's keeping me here in America, folks. We got a big fight coming, and I want to be here when it happens. I want to be able to be boots on the ground, checking stuff out, doing my part. It is going to get nasty, folks. And I couldn't just hang in the RMZ, swinging from a cot, you know, drinking pina coladas from homemade liquor made with papaya fruit. Couldn't do it. Had to come back. We got Dave Miller, and he says, I left Seattle for Reno area. Was that good? I tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, the answer is yes. I'm not a Seattle person. I'm not a Portland person. And I'm not north. I like cold. Now, Reno, I'm very familiar with. Been to Reno lots and lots. It's in Nevada. Reno, Nevada, and Nevada in general is having a crisis of confidence in its who it is, its soul. Is Nevada going to be California light? Well, old school Nevadans don't like the fact that so many Californians are moving there and bringing their politics with them. But, you know, cities being what they are, they love the fact that as people move in, prices go up, property values go up, and taxes, the taxes that Reno and Las Vegas, Henderson, values go up. I like the Reno area, folks, but it can get cold as fuck in Reno and anywhere on the east side of Sierra Nevadas. But, you know, it's what you need. I like Reno personally. I do. I like the attitude of Reno. It's just one of those cool towns. But, you know, we've got these leftists, these progressive, globalist, communist, socialist scumbags on the left. They're not going to quit and go away. They're not. But if I was interested in a free state, free zone, I would think that Reno would be a good one. There's a lot of you guys on here right now that are Reno citizens, Reno area citizens, whether it's Reno or Stead or Fallon, Nevada, very close. So that's a big farming community. And there's a lot of people there that are just, they've got good souls. And it's actually that way across the whole country. I'm sure there's great people in Seattle that are preppers that are on this show. I mean, everywhere I go, I hear about these clusters and people are like, yeah, we know all about you. Keep going, keep doing it. And the answer is, yeah, damn right I will. Anyways, thank you very much, man. Be careful in Reno. They've ruined downtown. COVID, folks, ruined downtown, I think. But Silver Legacy, there's Sterling's. That's still a good restaurant. I recommend, if I may, Johnny's Ristorante. Fine Italian dining at really, folks, you go to eat there, you dress up nice, and you get the bill, and you're like, that's not too bad. Johnny's Ristorante. That's probably my favorite Italian restaurant there, even though there's another really good one right there on Central. All right, let's move on if we shall. That was David Miller. Okay. I want to get back to Biden before I take the next super chat. Biden president, Gigi Biden, has decided to pool and just abandon all of the money, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the abandon Afghanistan. It's in chaos right now. It's like all the adults left and the worst kids in the neighborhood are taking over. Right? They've just gone into the presidential palace. They're taking over. They're driving American equipment around. Whatever the military left, and they left a lot of equipment, folks. That's now Taliban equipment, right? All this is going on. And this is what Nancy Pants, 90 proof Pelosi, has to say. Here's the quote, right? The president is to be commended for the clarity of purpose of his statement on Afghanistan and the actions he has taken. He is to be commended for abandoning ship and just pissing away American treasure, American interest, and then also, just like Saigon, Vietnam, everyone who was anti-Taliban, everyone who was pro-America, pro-West, pro-trade, free trade, right, secular state versus a theocracy, a caliphate, everyone that is opposed to the Taliban is now in a country where they are the sworn enemy and they have no protection. Remember that thing, the Afghan army? There's no Afghan army now. It's Taliban army, folks. Do you think that those army soldiers that trained for years under American soldiers, Marines, do you think they're going to be treated fairly? Do you think all the women and children, get this, right? Here's more of the quote. The Taliban must know that the world is watching its actions. Okay, Mother Pelosi, thank you for letting us know. Yeah, they must know it. In other words, you better be good. Yeah, right. Fat fucking chance. She says this, Pelosi, we are deeply concerned about reports regarding the Taliban's brutal treatment of all Afghans, especially women and girls. Here we go. Basically, after saying that President Biden, knucklehead asshole extraordinaire, is to be commended for his clarity of purpose, there's already reports of the brutal treatment of Afghans, especially women and girls. So President Biden, with his decision, has now exposed all of these non-Taliban women, including non-Taliban little girls, are now going to fall in the hands of these cretins who have no morality, folks, based on their religious thinking and teachings. They're going to treat these women and girls, folks, like slaves. Remember when they first went into Afghanistan and said, you're free, you can vote, you can go to school, you can learn to read, write, you can get an education, you can be whoever it is you want to be, right? Kind of giving this idea, folks, of American thinking. Follow me on this, follow me on this. You're free, Afghan men, women, children, you're free to be who you want to be. You now have liberties and freedom. We're going to help set up a government. You're going to have voting, and you're going to have rights, and you're going to have access to everything. Everyone gets to be a first-class citizen in Afghanistan, right? And so Americans were like, okay, yeah, we can see that, okay. All that's going to be stripped away from them, period. Stripped off. You're done. You have no rights. There is no voting in Taliban Afghanistan. You are chattel, you're property. Men will be assassinated. Men will be executed. Thank you, Biden, for doing that and showing the world what a big pile of excrement you are. Dunderhead. All right, we got Hammerhand in with a $15 super chat donation. Thank you, Hammerhand. And this is what he says. Keep doing what you do, John. Always appreciated. I tell you, I get a massive amount of satisfaction from doing this job. And I want to thank you guys for supporting me with the super chats button. And probably most importantly, folks, is sharing these videos, hitting the share button, sending it off. Now, down below in the comments, we've got all the Prepared Mind channels listed. The Prepared Mind, the Prepared Mind BC, John the Prepared Mind, and Prepared Mind John. That's right, there's 4 channels now. Make sure you go to those, hit the subscribe button, and click the bell. Right now, while you're at the Prepared Mind, make sure you got the bell clicked. Now, here's the deal. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people. Now, I've heard actual complaints about Patreon people being unsubscribed. In fact, I spoke with Chris P. Bacon, and he said, hey, I got unsubscribed. And he thought he did. And he was like, oh, no, my card that I used expired. And when it came time to renew on that month, the Patreon doesn't send out a warning. It doesn't send out an email, hey, your card didn't work. They just unsubscribe you because the card expired. Make sure your card is current. Whatever card you're using for Patreon, it's only like I said, $2 a month. Some people do more. I am glad that you are over there because, again, the most important thing you can do is share information. With the exception of the videos on Patreon, you open up a link we have to a news article or a video on another site where they're legal to watch. Or I'm sorry, I don't want to use the word legal because it's legal to watch anything on YouTube. It's just YouTube won't allow it if it upsets their delicate senses. Right? That's how that works. Right? If you're censored, it's not because you say anything illegal. It's because you're just not allowed to talk. Not like that, right? Just like you, if you're on here and you threaten somebody else, another commenter, if you threaten them with violence or you become an abusive dickhead, you will be removed. Now, some people, they don't like that. They think that their free speech is being censored. You don't have a right to be a dickhead on this channel, folks. And I really want to thank you for having such, best way to put it, we have had really good, it's gotten better. The zoo used to be, well, having a lot more rocks and shit thrown at me. I don't mind. But yeah, it used to be a rougher place. Now it's become very focused on what is happening, helping each other out. And that is great. Notwithstanding dickheads who wanted to piss on everyone else's pool and ruin the pool party, with the exception of them, and they get handled, folks. They get removed. In fact, I invite trolls, go ahead and pipe up right now. Let Ooman know who you are and that you're a complete asshole, and he'll show you the back door with the big blue wrench. That's right, the blue wrench. All right, we got Sergeant Hard Rock in the house with a 556 super chat donation. You hit that super chat button, make a donation, ask a question, and I'll make you famous. So Sergeant Hard Rock says this: good evening, John. With all the crap that's going on in this country right now, could this be the start of scorched earth tactics by the powers that be? The answer is absolutely 100% correct. Ding, ding, ding. Sergeant Hard Rock nails it across the head. And we have the prepared mother popping in and out of the administrator computer. So I hope I hope Jolene isn't having her power go off and on over there in California. You're absolutely right, Sergeant Hard Rock, and thank you for the nice donation to the GTFB. The Get the Fuck Back John donation. Yeah, everything is now scorched earth. I remember a few years ago when we started talking about it. What are these people going to do when they don't get their way? They're just going to try and destroy everything. They're doing it. Scorched earth. Look at the education system. Critical race theory, telling white kids, telling kids with mixed racial heritage that the white part of you is bad, that your white parents are evil, that your ancestors are the worst people that ever lived on the planet, that your country is a pile of shit. Education has become scorched earth. Everyone sucks, must be destroyed. I mean, as human beings, we have, folks, our inner selves, who we are on the inside. We know how weak or fragile or how damaged we are emotionally, spiritually, and how we struggle through life. We all have to deal with that in our own terms. But to get it from people on the outside, people that want to pick on you, treat you like shit, put everything down, in some cases, folks, that's all we have is our American identity, who we are. When you look in the mirror and you see yourself, you're trying to say, that's a good person. I'm trying to make a difference, right? I'm helping me. I'm helping my family. I'm helping my country. I'm a good person. I pay my taxes. I obey the law. I don't need some jackass somewhere thinking they're better than me, telling me how wrong I am. Worse yet, they're doing it to kids. And folks, I'm just talking about education. What about the military? Scorched earth? Fuck yeah, you bet, Sergeant Hard Rock. Look what they're doing to the military. If you're white, you're a racist. If you're a Republican, a conservative, a libertarian, you're an extremist and a Nazi. It is, it's so fucking unreal that these people are saying these things. And that's the policy. It's not some out-of-control jackass general or some bastard colonel somewhere. This is the leadership in the White House, the Secretary of Defense, the Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs of Staff that are saying this shit and they like it. I just named education in the military scorched earth. Mainstream media? Holy shit, you want to talk about scorched earth? They ignore every filthy thing that Democrats are doing. Absolutely ignore it. Give them a pass. Don't talk about it. Anyone, folks, does something wrong and they jump down your throat if you're a libertarian, if you're an American, if you're a patriot, if you're a hardworking taxpayer, if you own a business, right? It's scorched earth. Just like the, hey, CEOs, this came up, this stupid commercial. Dear CEO, do you even care? They're attacking business if you don't play their game. Everything is scorched earth now. It's all or none. These people are all in 100% of the time. Giant fuck you is what they're giving you, me, us, America. Scorched earth? Yeah, it's not just for an election anymore, folks. Scorched earth, it's not just a little political thing where someone in one party pissed off the powers that be. Right? This, and of course, yeah, that's, you know, in politics, the rhinos are like, hey, we hate Trump too. You know, don't attack us. We're just trying to get elected and make a bunch of money, and we'll do whatever you want. And they're Democrats, assholes, cowards. It is scorched earth. They're all going to be destroyed, folks. They're all going to be destroyed. Thankfully, people, you, American people, are getting rid of these rhinos. They're nominating better candidates. Larry Elders in California is looking strong to take down Gavin Newsom. Go Larry. I mean, it's incredible what is happening, folks. And you know, they're having a hard time getting rid of Larry because he's popular, he's intelligent, he's able to articulate his positions that make sense versus the we're going to ram it down your throat Democrat bullshit. Oh, on top of that, I think isn't he black? It's hard for the media to go after that, right? Because they do it in their dark little shitty secrets. That guy's an Uncle Tom, right? We got to get rid of that guy. He's not towing the Democrat line. That if you're not a Democrat, you're not black, right? They're all their little secret bullshit stuff they pull, folks. All their little dirty lies and tricks, backstabbing shit. You get someone like Candace Owens, who is just genius level mentality and political science, who can just debate someone without relying on false premises and false logical fallacies. You know, but she's black, so they just ignore her because they don't want to bring her out. Bring her out in a debate. I dare them. She's a dynamo. People like Larry Ellis, dynamo. Georgia's seeing the same thing. The lieutenant governor in North Carolina, that dude's a badass, right? But they want to kill him, folks. They want to destroy them, rather, politically. Scorched earth, destruction. That's what they want. Leroy Luscombe checks in with a $5 super chat. He says, my daily drivers are an 83 AMC Spirit GT and an AM70 V8 Concorde. What's in their future? Oh my God, this is great. By the way, we're almost at 1 hour. Typically, folks, we go 2 hours on the Sunday Night Live at the zoo. And it usually takes about 2 hours plus to get through all of the super chats out there and discussing what's going on. I've got my list. You guys have your list of what you want to talk about. Sunday Night Live at the zoo, your list wins when you hit that super chat and throw a question up. Now, 83 AMC Spirit and AMC 70 V8 Concorde. When I grew up, the first car I had was an AMC Hornet, 3-speed, not on the floor. Even though the first car I learned to drive was a Ford Maverick with a 6-cylinder in it, 3 in the tree, 3-speed column shifter. But yeah, the first car that we had was as kids growing up was an AMC Hornet. I called it was a hatchback. I called it a fastback because it's funny. I like funny. Your cars, my friend, are not long in this world. Now, of course, the Prepared Mind tank is a 2000 F350 7.3 turbo diesel. It's old. Folks, I remember the cars I had in high school. Right? I'm driving a truck. My International, after my sister crashed the AMC Hornet, I ended up buying an International Scout, 1974 International Scout, the 345 V8 in it. So 74, I'm driving it in 86. It's 12 years old. And back then I thought, man, this fucking thing is old, right? What an old thing I've got. I get to drive around. My truck now is 21 years old. I love it. Your stuff is far older, man. They'll quit. I mean, if you can't get parts for new cars, I don't know how you get parts for your AMCs that are basically older than half of our audience. But they make a good car. A lot of people really didn't like those cars. You know, AMC made the Pacer, with the Javelina. They made some Matador. They made some ugly vehicles that were just a hell of a thing. Anyways, yeah, they're going to get rid of us, right? Cars that required leaded gasoline, folks. The lead was put in the gasoline to lubricate the valves. So as the valves open and close, they wouldn't smash the heads. And what they ended up doing was putting, I think, the valve seats in later. You know, unleaded gasoline didn't require the lead, but you know, so lead vehicles that required leaded gasoline went by the wayside. They're going to do something. Don't worry, they'll fuck you and screw your cars up. It's just the way they work, right? In fact, it's so hard to get parts right now. I'm seeing it and hearing about it in the automotive world, in the trucking world, in the heavy truck world, that they're screwing the whole system up, folks. They're making life much, much, much more difficult. We got Johnny Freedom Seed with a $20 super chat donation. So what he says, religious conversations. Take that back. Religious conservations. Write a short statement with your name and the date, and don't answer any follow-up questions. You don't have to. Oh. I got you. It took me a second, man. Took the dime drop, man. Religious reservations, religious objections to procedures in your life, medical, that you don't want. You can have a religious objection to it. This came up. We have some very important information, but we can't just post it. So what we've been trying to do is figure out a way to disseminate the information, having a religious objection, right? To medical procedures that you don't want, that they must be respected by the government, at least while we have a First Amendment. So my recommendation is that you go to theRsyndicate.com. I think I know Uman's in possession of this information for having a religious objection, a moral objection, a religious moral objection, spiritual moral objection, if you wish, to mandatory requirements. Now, see, this is where we get into some interesting thoughts. If you're a member of the military and you can say, I'm not participating in your experiment because of my religious objections, how can a private business not only use duress and coercion, which is illegal, folks? If they can use that, how can they require to know what your medical history is? And can they also violate your religious rights? You see this whole thing, folks, about you can't be discriminated against because of your, here we go, race, age, gender, sexual orientation, country of origin, ethnicity, or religious beliefs. You cannot be denied a house, a home, an office. You cannot be denied a job based on your religious beliefs. If that be the case, if your objection to a medical experiment is based on a religious conviction of yours, then firing you is religious discrimination. Bada bing. Lawyers are lining up, folks. It is going to be a fight. Now, I wish I could be more specific. I wish I could give more details, but I think I just let you know. Look up, folks, religious objections. But it's going to be more important to understand your rights as a human fucking being. That someone doesn't have a right to make you do something against your will. And I hate having to say, my moral conviction, my religious conviction, right, is that is wrong, and you can't make me do that. And I have the right by my religious and moral convictions to tell you no. I think I should be able to say, because of my anything, it is my choice, and you can't fire me for it. But at least we have this right now where you can stand on a pillar, the religious pillar, and say, my First Amendment right. And you cannot discriminate against me, fire me, refuse to house me, refuse to hire me because of my religious and moral convictions. Johnny Freedom Seed, thank you, brother. Great topic to bring up. It's always been right here, this part of my head, somewhere in here. And I've just been not bringing it up. You have a right to object to things based on your religious and moral convictions. That is well established. Constitutional law, and unlike abortion, it's actually right there in the First Amendment. It's right there, pretty damn easy. We've got Velociraptor 6. Now that is a cool ass name, man. Velociraptor, not Velociraptor, not philosopher, but Velociraptor 6. He says this with a $10 super chat. He says, yo, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. I know what the CCP can kiss my arse. There's when it comes to the arse, the scene in Braveheart, the first big battle, where William Wallace and his band of scofflaws show up to tell the king's army basically to kiss their arse, right? And they end up lifting their kilts up, and basically means my dang, and then bending over and showing them their ass, kiss my ass. People need to wake up. I'm gonna have a cerveza sneeze here. People need to wake up and grow a pair. Men, women, it doesn't matter. You need to grow a pair, grow spine, get strong, get some conviction, right? This religious conviction, it's not a handicap. See, a religious conviction is not a handicap. It's not saying I'm weak and here's my religious conviction. It's saying, hey, mofo, the answer is no. My convictions are my convictions. My religion, right, is my shield. My religion, right, is what I use to go to battle with over you guys. It's my convictions. It's my morality, who I am. It's not a sign of weakness to have a religious conviction, folks. It is a sign of strength. Now, you can say it's a shield and you hold it out in front of you, or you can say they got my back. My religious conviction, my belief systems got my back. It's holding me upright and making me act like a man, because those are my convictions. They're not for sale. It's an incredibly powerful tool if you use to apply it mentally. Your religious convictions don't have to be based on Christianity. They don't have to be based on Catholicism. They don't have to be based on anything other than them being your personal convictions, right? The state does not have the right to recognize one religion, but to tell you yours, no, that's not good enough. They'd love to be able to do that. They'll pretend to be able to do that, right? You can claim whatever you want. Jehovah's Witness, you can't touch me. Fine, whatever, right? Make up a religion. What's that one? The Raelians, right? They believe that God's an alien from outer space, right? And that's their religion. You can't tell them no. That's their convictions. See that, and as soon as you say stand on your convictions, as soon as you say that, hey, that's the line in the sand. If you want to take me down, you've got to take me down. It gives you backbone. It gives you support. It is not a shield, and it's not a weakness to rely on your moral convictions. Contrawise, it is what gives you strength. What you can have philosophical convictions, folks. That's where I really like to stand. Right? My beliefs are my beliefs. Right? I don't need a book. Right? The book has the words, but the book isn't what protects me. My convictions, my beliefs in what is in that book and what is in this head. That's what matters. That's why we're going to end up, folks, in a severely nasty partisan war. It's coming. They're pushing, and it's them asking for it. It's them pushing it. It is Democrats and people who love the medical procedure, and they want everyone else to die. Let us move on. Richard Collard, the $10 super chat donation. He says, "Who's the leader when they come? There must be a concise leadership. How to know who's who?" First off, Richard, it's a great point, because everyone is asking, who's the leader? Who is going to lead America out of this? There are times when Senator Cruz, right, a very powerful statesman, and everyone's like, yeah, see, he's a good guy. And then where'd he go? It's like whack-a-mole. They show up and then they disappear, and they show up and they disappear. Rand Paul, right? He popped up a couple of weeks ago with his speech, and is saying, look, you can say no, you can object, right? It is time to do that. It's time to tell the government no. And then he got banned, and two, he's just kind of quiet now. Is it because he got banned that he's quiet? And the mainstream media doesn't want to give him any coverage, folks. Who's the leader? Is it Donald J. Trump, President of the United States? Is he the leader? Is it going to be Governor Texas Abbott? Who's going to be the leader? First off, in my opinion, you and we have to be leaders in our own lives. We have to accept responsibility for ourselves, those that we love and care about. We have to care about our groups, prepper groups. You have to, right, do that. You have to be strong with yourself first. A lot of people that believe, no, I have to have a leader first who's very strong, and then I can follow them. You've got to lead yourself. You got to be strong for yourself, and then, folks, trust me, I believe a leader is going to come up. But speaking of leader, I want to take you back into history a little bit. And I love history. History is replete with examples, all sorts of examples, whether it's philosophy, whether it's historical accounts of the actions and deeds of people. One of the great patriots of the American Revolution is also a name that is synonymous with treason, and that's Benedict Arnold. If you say that guy's a Benedict Arnold, people are like, yeah, he's a fucking traitor, right? That's what that means. Benedict Arnold was one of the greatest heroes of the revolution up to until the time that he was revealed to be a traitor. We're going to have that, folks. We're going to have that. Now, the other part about who's a traitor and who's not, who's a rebel, who's not, who's the good guys, who's the bad guys. While things are going haywire, while things are really bad, this is how this works. Nobody knows who the leader really was, but afterwards, history writes, historians, chroniclers write the history of what happened and say, this guy did stuff. This gal did stuff. This group did stuff. And they are the heroes because, one, their side won the battle. Their side won the war. And that's, you find out afterwards who the leaders were. Now, it's great to go into battle with a George Washington, or to go into battle with a Andrew Jackson, or to go into battle with a General Smedley Butler, or to go into battle with a Norman Schwarzkopf, you know, someone that everyone respects, likes, reveres, and says, I trust you, man. And then history recognizes them later also, right? Yeah, my great grandpa served under pick your guy, Lafayette, right? You may not find out who the leader is, but the shit will already be going. The shit will be nasty. But again, we can look to history for a terrific example. Lexington and Concord, where the first shots were fired in the American Revolution. And I've said, hey, folks, by the way, that wasn't the first time Americans were abused. It was just the first time they really stood up to the abuse. Lexington and Concord. That's the first time they stood up with their firearms, which were, by the way, being outlawed by the British. Saying, well, you guys are getting kind of out of hand, you rotten, rascally American colonists. We need to take your weapons. And they're like, no, we've got a lot of problems. One, we got to hunt. You can't do that. You know, we've got all kinds of problems. You're not going to take our weapons, our self-defense, our means of self-defense. It was so important, the idea of firearms, the right of the people to keep and bear arms for protection of the state themselves, as well as hunting and sporting needs. Right? That's their right. Anyways, they didn't say, who's the leader? We need a leader here before we stand up to the British in Lexington and Concord. They had to have their own personal moral convictions in place ahead of time. And so it's a great subject. It's a great topic to consider. Do we need a leader? A leader would be nice. Do we have leaders? Yes, they're out there right now, and you just may not know them. But they're out there, and they will rise up. They will step up into the place. A lot of them will end up getting shot for stepping up, arrested for stepping up. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of great American heroes, folks. Men, people who you'll never know their names, who were arrested by the British, who were arrested, folks, and imprisoned by Abraham Lincoln in the Civil War. Great Americans who had the conviction of their soul, right? Their beliefs that what they were doing was right, and they just got arrested. You'll never learn about them. You'll never learn their personal heroism. You'll never hear about the great acts that individuals committed. You just hear about the leaders and some groups in the history books. We all may end up being remembered, or all of us may end up being, if not forgotten, just an asterisk. Well, there was this thing called preppers before the Great Revolution, before the American Reset and the new libertarian America, the new free America reemerged. There was this group that were called preppers that were preparing for it well ahead of time. An asterisk on history, folks. They won't name us by name. They won't know who we are. We're going to be anonymous, but there's going to be leaders, folks. Trust me, they'll pop up. Leaders will come up, and they will be great, and people will want that leader, and they'll get behind them even more. It'll embolden their convictions. Let us move on. We got Francesca checks in with a 1776 super chat donation. Says, hey, brother, Biden and the Biden defied the Supreme's moratorium ruling. Is there even a line to hold anymore? When the Constitution is openly defied, how do we fight for it? What we're discovering is that the courts can't make up their mind. In one state, the court rules something legal. In another court, they rule it illegal. State courts, federal courts, the United States Supreme Court, if the law was the law, and if logic was equally applied, If the law is the law and the logic is equally applied, they would come up with the same answer everywhere. Right? 1 + 1 is universal. 1 + 1 = 2. Whether it's a state question or a federal question, right? Whether it's a lower court, an appellate court, or a Supreme Court decision, 1 + 1 always equals 2. The only time 1 + 1 = 1 or = 3 or = 0 is when it goes from being a logical question, what is 1 + 1, and the answer 2, when it goes from being logical to illogical, when it goes from being self-evident to political in nature. Right? The only way 1 + 1 can = 3 is if it's a political question and a political answer. So to your question, Francesca, how do we fight for it? That's just it. That is exactly it. That is the only way. When the courts no longer know that the law is the law and everything they say becomes a political question, political answer, we can't rely on them. When the people in charge of our government, either at the local, state, or federal level, when they demonstrably lie to everybody, you can no longer count on them. What we're doing is we're seeing our systems of government, our government institutions, be it the executive, the legislative, or the judicial branch. They used to, folks, battle for supremacy over who was the most right. You know, who has the most morality, who has the conviction of their hearts and the moral high ground. They were the ones who could say, no, 1 + 1 is 2. And if you're saying 3, you're either lying or you're full of shit and you're stupid, and everyone gets to hear about it and see it, and we're all going to say it, right? If you say 1 + 1 is anything other than 2, you're a moron, and everyone knows it. Now you've got the judiciary, you've got the legislative, you've got the executive branches, all vying, and they're all saying something different. Except nobody is saying the answer is 2. They're all saying, no, 1 + 1 is 1. 1 + 1 is 4. No, my branch of government says 1 + 1 is 10. We can't rely on anyone. You take a look at the United States, what's happening? It's falling apart. There's nobody at the wheel. We hit a fucking iceberg and no one is controlling the direction of the ship, and it's going to hit more icebergs. Right? Abandon logic reality. Abandon ship. That's what we got going on. We will end up being in a fight for it because these people are exactly that. They're a bunch of dunderheads, folks, shitheads. I got Cassandra threw in a $2 PayPal super chat. And this is what Cassandra says. Isn't it interesting, the coincidence of the bone marrow regeneration every 90 days coincides with their estimated there's a I have to use the right words here. I have to use the right words. I have to be very careful, folks. I have to be very careful. Yeah, it seems like they're now going to want people to go out and have a tequila every 90 days to boost their game. I just have to be really careful with this. But the observation made by Cassandra is very fascinating. Every 90 days, bone marrow regenerates. Interesting that every 90 days, they're going to want people to have another tequila shot, which is damaging to your liver if you drink way too much tequila. This is going to be something that comes in. And Cassandra, I really wish I could address this more directly. But everyone knows that if you drink too much tequila, it's not good for your liver. Probably not good for your bone marrow either. As time progresses, as time progresses, weeks, months, we're going to start seeing the unintended consequences. We're going to start seeing the trouble with. We're going to see the consequences of people who have made rash decisions. And they're not going to be good consequences. At that point, folks, in fact, Crispy Bacon was letting me know today. He's like, you know what? The people, are starting to realize they've been schnookered. They're starting to wake up. They're starting to resist. They're starting to say, we made a big old mistake here. So much so that both world and national organizations are now taking a step back and going, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. While those who have financial gain are continuing to push their agenda that many believe is an effort at euthanasia. Some people call genocidal. We're going to see, folks. We're going to see. Also, additionally, at patreon.com, the Prepared Mind on Patreon, we have information on how to get rid of toxins in your environment. So it's important, folks, to learn these things, how to protect yourself before and after, if you are unfortunate enough. And the corresponding powers that be are doing everything they can to silence those who want to talk about how to do a body detox. I can't say because I'm not a doctor or an expert. I do know that you don't want toxins in your environment. You just don't. Toxins are bad. Folks, toxins are bad. If toxins were good, I guess we'd all be drinking bleach, right? If toxins were good, we'd be drinking antifreeze that goes in your car. If toxins were good, wouldn't we all just have the world's strongest, most healthy bodies and immune systems by drinking toxins? Toxins are not good. Yeah. Let's move on. We got Orlando with a $5 super chat. He hit the button up here, super chat button. Thank you, Orlando. This is what he has to say. He says, do me a favor when I die. Don't let me vote Democrat. I hear you, buddy. I won't. It is incredible. It's incredible what is just going on in the world. There is so much stuff coming out, folks, in various states like Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada. It is incredible how much information is continuing to come out. Even states like Minnesota and Wisconsin, they're starting to have repercussions coinciding with other states. In fact, the whole question of integrity, period, is if our tax system, has the appearance of being full of fraud, shouldn't we audit the tax system in every state and make sure all taxpayers are there? Because we should not be taxing the dead. We should not be taxing the dead. Anyways, thank you, Orlando, much. Now we have Mike Landakos with a 556 super chat donation. And he says this. He says, Arizona results to be released not this week, but the following. I thought it was going to be this week that Arizona, which has done a very comprehensive tax audit, despite bureaucratic and elected official interference, going all the way up to, is it the Secretary of State, I believe, just being a complete and total nitwit and getting in the way and showing absolutely no regard for law and nothing but regard for partisan politics. Yeah, Arizona is a mess. It is now a demonstrable mess, and it's hard because of what has happened. It's hard for anyone to try and defend that system. It's absolutely impossible. It has been. Now, here's the deal, folks. If you believe that America should be a social communist nation, if you believe that, nobody is going to change your mind at this point. If you believe as a normal human being with an operating and functioning brain, that people should leave you the hell alone, and that you're going to leave other people alone. It's called freedom. You're not going to be able to convince anybody that doesn't believe that, especially these leftist turds. No one is going to change their mind at this point. They're not going to change their mind over medicine. They're not going to change their mind over law. They're not going to change their mind over elections. They're not going to change their mind over politics. They're not going to change their mind over which sports team they like. Once people have made up their mind, folks, they're going to stick with it. Now, here's the deal. Having worked in sales, one of the most difficult things was getting someone to change their behavior, their patterns. Very difficult. There's one pattern, though, that's bigger than someone's belief system in medicine or politics or military or education, and it is their partisan stupidity. I have never seen such massive partisan stupidity in my fucking life than looking at the Democrats right now. If you tell them the moon is made out of cheese, they're going to say, yeah, the moon's made out of cheese. And if you don't believe us, the Democrats, then we're going to kill you. We want to put you in a re-education camp. Can't you tell the moon's made out of cheese? President Biden said it is. Nancy Pelosi said it is. The experts they hired said the moon is made out of cheese. And if you don't believe it, you should die. And then the next week, the president, Nancy Pants, Chuck Schumer, all their experts could tell you that the moon is a big rock. If you don't believe the moon's a big rock up in the sky, then you're an idiot, man. Didn't you listen to Nancy Pelosi? She knows everything. And you're like, but last week you said it's cheese. No, we didn't. It's always been a rock. What are you, stupid? Folks, listen to what the experts are saying. They change their mind every 5 minutes, and the Democrats listen, believe, and act upon it. See, that is it's what they're not going to change their mind about is their belief in their leadership and the infallibility of these fucking morons up in DC. That is stronger because they don't have any personal beliefs or personal convictions. They just don't. They do not. So you can't change something that doesn't exist. Their personal beliefs and convictions come from their leadership. In other words, they're a bunch of fucking stupid sheep. And what happens to sheep, folks? They get led to slaughter. This subject came up earlier in the day. The question was, John, these sheep over here think that the wolves are protecting them. I said, yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? The wolves being the Pelosi's, the globalists, the scumbags, the communists, the fascists up at the top. They're the wolves. And the people that follow them are a bunch of sheep. And they don't realize that they're on the fucking menu. They think they're being protected. They're not. They're on the menu. They're being used. They're going to be eaten. It is an absolutely incredible mess. We've got Shelly Chavers with a super sticker, a $10 super sticker. Folks, we're up to 866 members. Thank you, Shelly. 866 viewers live right now at this moment. There's been more times in the past. There's been a few, right? But we're always, folks, always on Sunday Night Live. Thank you for showing up if you're on YouTube, but we would love to have you over on Patreon. But here's the deal. That's more than the president gets. The president of the United States. Not President Trump. That guy's numbers kick the shit out of my numbers. Hands down, right? But President Biden, on the other hand, he can't build enough energy to get more viewers than we have here. What is it we're doing? I'm not buying you with votes, folks. No, I'm not saying, hey, if you watch my channel, I'm going to give you free money. Wouldn't that be interesting if I was the president? I'm like, I'm going to hand money out to you guys. Everyone would tune in. This fucking asshole in DC can't get anyone to tune in when he's giving away trillions of dollars. Nobody cares about him. Nobody cares what he has to say. Nobody believes him. Unless he's talking about the moon and it being made out of fucking cheese. And then they'll quote him all day long. How dumb are the leftists? How brainwashed are they? Lack of reason? Folks, anyone, right? That's the guy. That's them. They're the ones that say the most incredible shit. Like having a drag queen performance in the military is going to help them with operational readiness. Right. Very good. Where do I sign up for that shit? All right. We've got Christine B. Hanna. Hey, babe. Let's see. We got a $14.69 super chat donation. $14.69. It says, you don't know cold, LOL. Bring your arse to North Country in February. That's cold as fuck. AF. AF stands for as fuck. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Christine. Now, this is funny. I was talking to one of these realtors. And as this person's talking, is it an adverb or is it an adjective to describe something? Cold is an adjective. As fuck, I guess, is an adverb, right? But they kept using the as fuck for certain things when it becomes a adverbial superlative. Cold as fuck. Oh, I tell you what cold as fuck is. I know. I'm with you on this. Now, when I was in extreme Northern California and I was on the backside of the Sierra Nevadas for one particular winter spell, it was for 2 weeks. That's 14 days to people who can add Democrats. Hello. If you can add, right, to a week is 7 days times 2, 14 days. The low on those 14 days was -7. Now, for you up there in Minnesota, you're like -7, no problem. The problem with this -7 was the high for the day for 2 fucking weeks was +7. There was a 14-degree swing from low to high. It was biting fucking cold. On top of that, it was snowing continuously. So there was 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet of snow, -7 to +7 for 2 weeks. It was hellish. It was terrible. But I'm sure that up in the Great White North, it probably gets colder. Probably gets colder longer than where I was at. But that was enough for me, right? It was extreme Northern California. It was pretty nasty stuff, right? The coldest day I think we had was -22 degrees Fahrenheit. Coldest night, day and night. That was pretty freaking cold. But it only lasted a couple of days. Thankfully, it got up to like 10 degrees. Yay! Still frozen. That's why I'm like, look, I want to go someplace warm. I want to be warm for shit. It's the fan. I've got enough things to worry about other than my toes freezing and basically snapping off. Okay. We got this. We got a 556 donation, a super chat donation from Frankie Rios. Thank you, Frankie. Says the internal checkpoints are now openly being discussed. Make sure everything is lubed. Strong U.S. fair wins. I am ready and willing to see these checkpoints where you're not allowed to go from state to state or travel about without having special government permission. I'm ready. Send me the emails with the locations. Right? It's important, folks, to be prepared for what is coming. I'm expecting the most crazy, stupid stuff. Now, they did try checkpoints last spring, the spring of 2020, late spring, saying you can't come to our state, we're going to turn you around. Totally unconstitutional, folks. And to say, well, you can come across the state line and then you're going to go check into that hotel and quarantine for 2 weeks. Totally unconstitutional. Absolutely beyond question unconstitutional. Whether it's here on the mainland or whether it's out in Hawaii or the other Pacific Islands, if it's American, it is unconstitutional. But that will not stop them, folks. It will not stop them. They're absolutely nuts. They're off their fucking rockers nuts. right? These people over here, the moon is made out of cheese. That's their belief system. That is their moral conviction, that the moon is made out of cheese. And they're willing and wanting to go to war over it, folks. What are your moral convictions? Marilyn Myers sends a $10 PayPal donation. Thank you, Marilyn. Awesome, very much. No question. But folks, every dollar we get goes to keeping the lights on and keeping the show. The show must go on. The show must go on. So your super chat donations are incredibly important. PayPal, folks, is guerrilla funding. It does many things, right, on PayPal. It guerrilla funds our efforts. It pays us money to take care of business, to be able to be here to do this with you. Additionally, on Patreon, you get Monday through Friday. You participate or can participate if you wish on the live daily monologue and Q&A. You also get the worldwide weekly wrap-up uncensored. You get all of the listings we find for medical information and other information regarding voting, this stuff that comes up, things that I cannot say here. I will be able to give you information on Patreon. And I've had some people, folks, go, oh my God, I can't believe what I'm hearing. For the first time, I'm hearing actual fact that corresponds with the data. You see, that's just it. We're hearing this opinion from this expert, which doesn't have anything to do with corresponding data. It doesn't match. Right? 1 + 1 is 2. When 1 + 1 is 3 or 4 or 5, you know you're getting a lie and that it's politicized. What we're dealing with in this world is now the politicization of what are supposed to be facts. Horrifying, absolutely horrifying. Folks, we've gone past the 90-minute mark and we're closing in on the 2-hour mark. The record has been, I think, 3 hours and like 20 minutes. I don't think we're going to get that far this week. I'll probably pass out and choke on my saliva if we went that long. But I will stay here as long as there's super chat donations and finish it out. Right now, we've got Randall Lowe with a $4.99 super chat donation. He says, more and more evidence found in the tax audits that Orange Man Bad really isn't a bad guy. That Orange Man was good. That is why there is such a huge push to do tax audits around the country, because there's a problem. There's a problem. The statistics, once again, 1 + 1 is 2. And if you add 1 + 1 and get 2 10 times, then 100% of the time 1 + 1 = 2. If I know this is going to be hard to draw. Statistics are very difficult when they're extreme to deny, right? I just wish I could say it, folks. I can't fucking say it. I'm not allowed to say it. There's a problem when you want to say something and it's simple words and you're not allowed. Statistically speaking, based on the extreme veracity, right? The demonstrably provable statistical facts are conclusive. Absolutely conclusive. They're not subject to interpretation. It's fact, matches statistics, conclusion. Donald J. Trump. Frankie Rios says, with a 223 super chat donation, they openly called us terrorists on the MSN. Is that the MSNBC, or are we talking about the mainstream media, or both? Oh, they're doing it, folks. You are a terror threat. You, me, us. That's what they're going for, folks. That's where they're pushing. That's where they're pushing. I put this up, and it came from ForbiddenKnowledgeTV.net. The military prepares to detain U.S. citizens' documents, exposed internment procedure. Now, these procedures and these proposals and hiring people to work in detainment camps, special government camps, folks, they're concentration camps. In our country, the United States of America, had concentration camps in World War II. Your country, the United States of America, performed medical experiments on American citizens back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. The American government, the United States government, back in the Civil War, arrested journalists, confiscated printing press equipment, threw people in jail without trial, without charges. The U.S. government has no problem violating your constitutional rights. And the Supreme Court at those times came out and said, oh yeah, you've got the authority for that shit. So the idea that the U.S. is preparing to arrest people, that this is happening, right? That they consider us to be, see, in order for them to justify putting you in prison, they have to call you an extremist and a threat to the country. Folks, they arrested Japanese Americans. Now, these are Americans, folks, that some were naturalized citizens. That is, they came from Japan over to the United States, got their U.S. citizenship, were able to pass a test explaining how good they're going to be as an American, right? They understood civics. They understood the Constitution. They understood American history and why it was important to be free. The Japanese Americans. World War II, arrested against their will, thrown in internment camps up in very cold, the same part of the country that I lived in extreme Northern California, where it's fucking cold. Yeah, you bet they had concentration camps there. They called them internment camps. They're concentration camps. These American citizens also were joined by native-born Americans of Japanese descent in World War II into the internment camps, concentration camps, where they were forced to work, where many died, folks. That's your United States government. You think they wouldn't do the same fucking thing today? You think the government is more moral today than it was back in World War II? Do you think they had a better grasp of actual law and the Constitution back in the 1930s? You bet they did. They knew much better, folks, and they still got away with that shit back then. If they got away with it back then, when government had no authority to screw with the Second Amendment, and they didn't dare touch the First fucking Amendment, not to mention the Fourth and the Fifth, and people were still hot under the collar over the 10th Amendment and the Civil War. '40s, '50s, '60s, '70s, '80s, '90s, the aughts and the teens. We're now in the 20s. That's folks, we're almost 100 years past when they said it's okay to throw Americans in concentration camps. You think this fucking government is going to bat an eye or calling you an extremist, you a white supremacist, you a radical, an extremist, a Nazi, a white supremacist? And you bet they're calling us everything in the book. And once they get the American people, the ones that think the moon is made out of fucking cheese, guess what? Once they get enough support, you bet they're gonna act on it. Am I afraid? Do I have fear over this? Fuck no. Does it piss me off? Of course. I don't have fear anymore, folks. Not over that. I may have some personal demons on the inside, but I don't fear these fuckers on the outside. Not a bit. Do I want to die? Hell no. But I believe in my liberty, and I believe it is more valuable than my life. Government can take my life. They can't take my liberty. That's something they can never take. They can arrest me, I know, right? They can arrest the body. Liberty is always in the mind. Being free. Good golly. Francesca checks in with a 556 super chat donation. Says, how in the hell do you trek 3,000 miles and look fresh and showered and have a charged cell phone when you reach our southern border? Now, there you go, Francesca. Using your brains again, huh? I tell you what, just understand, Francesca, the moon is made out of cheese. You need to quit thinking for yourself and trust the expert. Incredible, is it not? How do you trek in the middle of this summer heat all the way through third world country, Mexico, Central America? Oh, there's great areas, folks. Yeah, there's resort areas, and there's some very nice cities and towns with some great fucking people. I love Mexicans, right? I do. If you're a Mexican and you've ever met me, you discover that. I think you're fucking great. Come here illegally and be a criminal, I'm not real fucking happy with you. Now, apart from these good areas with these good people, there's all these scumbags coming here. How do they get here? Right? You said 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles. The average human can walk tops 20 miles a day. Even if it's 20 miles a day, that would be 5 times 10 is 50. To march through Mexico, if you were able to do 20 miles a day, every day, through blistering heat, scorching deserts, bone-dry death roads, if you could manage it, it would still take you 50 days to get here. No, they're getting bussed. They're being given food, water. They've got money and charged cell phones. And they show up at the southern border going, yeah, made it to America. Let's go have some fun, right? I'm going to Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. They're going. This is a sham. It's an absolute sham. When President Trump was in there, like him or not, love him or not, believe in him or not, we didn't have these problems. These problems were held to a minimum. Is there a difference between Trump and the Democrats? Is there a difference between Republicans and Democrats? The answer is fuck yeah, there's a difference. Is there a problem with rhino Republicans? Fuck yeah, there's a problem. Is there a problem with the Republican National Committee, the Republican leadership? Yeah, there's big problems. Can we fix all of our problems by getting rid of these people? No. Sadly, no. We can put more good people, and I want good people, folks, in political office, not only in the state, but up in Washington, D.C., because I want them there fighting there. The problems, really, folks, apart from the rhino Republicans, are these left-wing, the moon is made out of cheese, dumb, indoctrinated bastards. They're the problem. Here come all the Mexicans up from Mexico. You can vote. Here's your voter card. Here's a handful of money. Let's charge up your cell phone, and I'll give you a bus ticket and send you anywhere in the country. Be sure to sneeze on them, everyone. Incredible, folks. Absolutely incredible. Firefighter 6200. Firefighter 6200 does a $20 super sticker donation. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Folks, the get the fuck back and stay back got started a long time ago because I said, okay, look, I'm tired of this bullshit, right? I'm going to show you guys how to conquer the jungle. Right? and man, that was a struggle. It was a fight. It was a challenge. It was incredible. Every day from the jungle, right? I sent out, I talked to you guys while I was at the RMZ, but man, the whole time I was there, I was like, you know what? This is getting bad. It's not getting better. They're not letting up. Shit has hit the fan. I need to get back. I need to get the fuck back to America. And I did, and you guys have supported that. And now it's the get the fuck back and stay back, right? And we may have to do something similar for the Kaz man, because if he gets to the RMZ, he may not want to come back. He may not want to come back. Yeah. Anyways, thank you all for the great support on the channel. And we've got now Jenny Jen. JJ is in the house with a $49.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Jen, for all that you do, for the smiles, the laughs, the jokes, everything. You're just a fabulous folks. I wish I could meet you all. I've actually met Jenny in person several times. Fantastic human being. Every one of you that I've met, I correspond with, I talk on the phone, emails. It's just an incredible experience meeting you. I can't wait to do the Prepared Mind World Tour. It's going to be incredible. Just right now, don't feel safe. Don't feel safe. So this is what Jenny says. She says, hey all, this summer I've been having my preteen read a chapter each week from the Constitution book, as well as memorizing the preamble. Figured I'd get a head start on it and hope he holds a lifelong appreciation for it. I recommend this. Us. Jenny, that is amazing. You know, that we did that. You and I, I'm sure. But all of us did that in school. It was absolutely, it was imperative. It was a rule. You had to know the Constitution, be able to do the preamble. You had to take a test, period. What's incredible is, as a parent, you've taken it upon yourself to take Gray and say, hey, look, you're going to learn this. And what's incredible is it's a philosophical document as well as a legal document, as well as a lawful document. It teaches. See, philosophy is not just sounding smart. Embodied within it is wisdom, and it coincides with our sense of justice and equality and what is right. Right? And now these liberal dumb fucks over here, they'll look at it and say, well, see that right there? It doesn't mention anything about slavery. That makes that whole document bad. They're looking for ways to pick at it. If you look at the Constitution for what it is an incredible document, right? Especially the Bill of Rights, detailing the relationship between the people and the government that they have authorized to exist. The government didn't exist by right, and then they said, okay, now we're going to see if you can accept this constitutional restriction and limitations, and you're going to perform the duties that we say. No, there was no government. It was the people standing around going, okay, the government, we need to have some things taken care of. We don't want to leave it up to private business. It doesn't work right. We're going to have a government that serves the people. And so they did this thing, and it is a marvel, the United States Constitution, when compared to other constitutions that other countries have. It is a marvel because it is based on philosophical concepts that were espoused by a moral people. Without morality, a constitution is worthless. Oh, wait, welcome to 2021. The people in Washington, D.C. have no morality. They're corrupt as fuck. No wonder the Constitution isn't working. The problem is not the Constitution. The problem is corrupt politicians who ignore the Constitution. Oh yeah, here we are back at the beginning. Executive, legislative, judicial branches. Which one of them is the moral branch? Which have the moral high ground? None of them. Hence the failure of the government, because the bureaucracy that's functioning, it ignores the Constitution. And so yeah, the problem isn't our Constitution. The problem isn't the morality of the people, except for these idiots that believe the fucking moon's made out of cheese. I got a problem with them. But for the rest of us, we basically understand right is right and wrong is wrong, and can't confuse the two. Incredible stuff. But congratulations, Jenny, on getting him into the Constitution. He's a good young man, and give him a high five for me. Now we got Blue Collar Bicentennial. He says the Blue Collar Bicentennial became a YouTube member. Well, absolutely freaking fantastic. I completely forgot about this. YouTube is now offering a membership there, and it is a way to support the Prepared Mind channel. So thank you very much, Blue Collar Bicentennial. Awesome. We got the $10 from Rolling Thunder into the GTFB and Stay Back Fund up at the Super Chats button. This is what Rolling Thunder says. He says, they are going to try to deny people entry access to all facilities, whether it is a movie theater or an operating theater. Pretty clever, huh? Whether it is a store, a flea market, a gas station, a mini mart, the beach, the park, the mountains, they're going to try and deny access everywhere. And he continues, there will be removal of licenses, including driving, fishing, barber, medical, electrical, real estate, vendors, tools, gotcha, yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. F you to us is what they're saying. Yeah, if you don't do what the government wants, they're going to say you no longer get to have a license. Now, what is a license? A license is permission from a government to do that which without the license would otherwise be illegal. Do you have a right to life? Do you have a right to liberty, pursuit of happiness, the right to travel, locomotion, to move about freely? Do you have a right to use the common way? Do you have a right to use government services? Yeah, you do. You have all of those rights. Now, if the government has convinced people they need to buy a license in order to do those things, there's a problem there. The problem isn't that we don't have the right to do them. The problem is we have believed that we have to have permission. Now, corporations or businesses, LLCs, sole proprietors, store owners, anyone operating in a commercial capacity, the government is threatening them. The government is using coercion and duress. We'll take your business license from you unless you take actions to deny people the right to their lives, whether it be medicine or food, gasoline. They have no right to do this, folks. They don't even have a fucking right to demand you get a license, whether it's for fishing, hunting, driving. They don't have a right to demand that, but they have coerced the people and said, well, you can fight us in court. This is how it started, right? You can fight us in court, but it'd be a lot cheaper just to pay $10 to get the license than to spend $100 fighting it. And so people have accepted that government has a right to license every activity under the frickin' sun. That's why I kind of referred to the coming America as the free America that's coming. And trust me, it's not going to be free in the sense that the cost of it is nil. It's only going to be free in the sense that we have freedom and liberty. But the price for that is going to be excruciatingly high. I got 1776 to Francesca with a super chat donation. Once again, thank you, Francesca. Let's see what she has to say. We left all that equipment for the Taliban, but they want to take our tools. Nope. Here's our contribution for some more Scottish mineral water. Scottish mineral water. Yes, that's right, folks. Here I have a flask of Scottish mineral water shipped all the way from Scotland, because if it's not Scotch, it's crap. Thank you, Francesca. I do want to talk about the logical fallacy, the incoherent, just logical, incapacitating stupidity that the left has. You should not have any weapons, handgun, shotgun, rifle. They would take them away instantly. As it is, if you want a fully automatic loading and firing machine gun, you can get one. You just have to get a permit from the federal government. It's legal then. You see, it's not the gun that's illegal. It's whether or not the government says you're allowed to have one. So in order to have one, you have to pay a tax and get a license. And then you can have a fully auto machine gun. Because it is difficult and because of the stigma that goes with fully automatic, auto-loading, repeating machine guns, most people don't bother. Plus, they're very expensive to shoot in that way. But here's the deal. Why is it, as Francesca pointed out, okay for the federal government to spend trillions of dollars and then leave, I don't know, helicopters, at least Hummers, MRAPs, machine guns, ammunition, fully automatic, auto-loading machine guns, by the way, military grade. Just abandon it in a country full of people that have sworn, the leadership that's there now, the Taliban, have sworn to be the enemy of the United States of America forever, and that they will destroy our country and replace our laws with Sharia law. Oh yeah, that's what they've said over there. We're going to take over America and the world will fall under the dominion of Sharia law. That's what they've said. That's what they promise. And so the United States government thinks it's just fine to leave All kinds of materials there for them. Hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in equipment and gear. Not to mention the trillions of dollars that have been spent trying to get rid of, well, supposedly get rid of these people. You know, enemies of freedom and liberty and free thought, right? Well, it's interesting. The people that are in charge now, the Democrats, don't believe in free thought here in America. So maybe it's just fine for them over in the Taliban to see another group of people that don't think their people should be free, that don't allow free thought, that punish people who think for themselves. Are you starting to see a similarity here between the Democrat Party and the Taliban? Let's see. What did Nancy Pants say about people? How they're being treated by the Taliban already? That they're concerned about Afghans, and especially women and little girls. You know, underage girls, girls under 18, girls that are pubescent, girls that are prepubescent. How are they being treated? How does Joe Biden treat little girls, folks? Seeing any similarities? How does Joe Biden treat his subordinates in 1993? Tara Reid? Anyone? 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 See any similarities in behavior and treatment of girls and women by the Biden administration, Biden himself, Governor Cumho, other scumbags, regardless of party affiliation? Is it any wonder or surprise that they have apparently no qualms with handing Afghanistan over to a bunch of radical jackasses? As soon as Biden announced, folks, that America was pulling out, the Taliban just started taking over everything and taking city after city, heading to Kabul. Now they own it. It's so bad, folks. You ready for this? It's so bad that even Jake Tapper of CNN grilled the Biden administration representative who went on CNN network to try and answer for this fucking crying shame of a move. It's just beyond me. It's beyond me. We've got Mike Landakos. He says, everyone knows it. 1 + 1 = 11. You bet. If you take a 1 and you draw it on a piece of paper and you add another 1 right next to it, that's not 2. That's 11. You got 1 and a 1 next to each other. 1 + 1 is 11. If you don't know that, you definitely will never understand how the moon is made of cheese. Thank you very much. We've got Christine Bihana back in the house with a $50 super chat donation. Okay, Christine, let's see what you have to say here. She says, my stepmom went through citizenship school qualifications. They had to know all this Constitution, Bill of Rights stuff to pass. They know more than what's taught in school today. That was 45 years ago, over 45 years ago. Yeah, back then, folks, and here's the deal. Back, you couldn't just like, well, you know, I got a 66%. I got half of it right and passed. No, there was a minimum standard. You didn't just, you couldn't just C, and filling out the bubbles, you know, all the C's and going, oh, whew, you know, I got 60, I got a D-. But that's not failing. No, there was a minimum threshold. Now, what it was back when your mother did it, I have no idea. I don't know if it was 80%, 85%, 90%, but it wasn't just you just had to get a little better than half. You had to know that shit. You had to know the Bill of Rights. You had to know the Declaration of Independence. You had to know all of this stuff. And I think there's a written test, but there's also an oral test. You had to explain it. And here's the deal, folks. Here's the fucking clincher. You ready for this? People that came to America back then, especially our European descendants or antecedents or whatever, the people who came from Europe, they wanted to know it, and they proudly studied the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, our history. They proudly studied that because they wanted to be good Americans. They wanted to fit in. They wanted to understand it. They wanted to live the American experience. Not the American dream, folks, the American experience. The American dream is to buy a house and pay taxes on the house and to be owned by the fucking bank. That's what the American dream has become. But back then, it was the American experience. You wanted to be an American. It was a thing of pride. You didn't just come here and say, well, you know, I'm from Sweden. You didn't come here and go, well, you know, I'm French, I'm English. Nope. They came here, I want to be an American. I don't want to be from some other country. They adopted America. American thinking became a way of life, right? Same with not just Europeans, folks. How about Koreans, Japanese? How about other Asian nations? How about people who used to, ready for this one? People used to come from the Orient. That's right. There's some place on the planet called Orient. Some location. You got the Middle East, you got the Orient, you got the Far East, you got Asia. Yeah, that's this idea that Oriental is a bad word. It's just out of fucking mind blowing, right? There's top ramen noodles or ramen noodles out there made by a company called Oriental or something. I hate this idea that that's a bad word. It's just freaking ridiculous. So ridiculous. People used to want to not just come to America. It wasn't about opportunity. It was about the idea of being free. And if you're free, then opportunity exists for you. If you're free, you can better yourself. There's so much about being American. Absolutely crazy. We got the William C. with a 410 donation. A 410, folks, is a shotgun gauge. It's essentially a 41 caliber. Anyways, thank you very much for the great donation there. We've got Red Pill Files with a $9.99 donation. Folks, guess what? We're still at 800 people live at this very moment. We're over the 2-hour mark now. Over the 2-hour mark. Joe Biden can't talk for 2 minutes without a teleprompter and Kamala Harris behind him. Say it that way. Read the line. Read the teleprompter. There's no teleprompter here, folks. Over 2 hours, and I do this every single day. Just I'm not always live with you guys this long, but I'm on the ball with you guys every single day, and that's what your money does. It puts me, Jolene, it puts everything in motion and keeps us going. So thank you so much for what you do. Anyways, we got Red Pill Files at $9.99. It says, statement by President Trump today. Quote, it is time for Joe Biden to resign in disgrace for what he has allowed to happen in Afghanistan. End quote. It is a disgrace. Pardon me. It is a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. It is unconscionable. Now, you could make the argument that we should have never gone there in the first place. You can make the same argument about Vietnam. Yeah, Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, who in the early 2000s broke it to the world on a college campus somewhere in America, that the Gulf of Tonkin incident was faked, got us into the Vietnam War. But when we pulled out, it was done in such an incredibly irresponsible way that hundreds of thousands of people were murdered. That's going to happen in Afghanistan, folks. It's going to happen. You see, when the United States just pulled out of Vietnam and said, that's it, we're done. They pulled out. Saigon was overrun by communists. Overrun by them. What do you think they did to the people who couldn't get on a helicopter to get out? You think they said, hey, look, we're just going to sit you down and you're going to read the communist constitution. You're going to read Ho Chi Minh's writings and everything's going to be okay. And we'll accept you then. We'll give you a card. You get a pass. Hey, those Americans were tricky. No, they just murdered everyone. They murdered everyone. They murdered so many Vietnamese. Who was there from the United States? Who was there from the United Nations to record all these deaths proper? No one. Because they pulled out. They left. They abandoned the Vietnamese people. Right now, the United States has abandoned the Afghan people who trusted the United States, who trusted the leadership in the United States, who trusted the leadership in the White House in Washington, D.C. They were abandoned. They were abandoned by our government, by President Biden. And there are going to be countless deaths, not to mention the horrors of living under that regime if you're a woman, if you're a young girl. It's going to be even worse. It's going to absolutely be even worse. Thank you very much, John Lord, for that email. John Lord sends me many, many emails constantly, along with many of you, and just keep me buried in work. Thank you so much. We got Frank Rizzo checks in with a $4.99 super chat. That's what Frank says. He says, Congress was grilling Hillary over Secretary of State corruption and the National Institutes of Health over funding the creation of Cerveza. Man, Congress works slow. You bet. One of the hallmarks of a corrupt and failing government is that it is slow to respond, especially when it comes to criticizing itself. On top of that, after it gets done slowly criticizing itself, it never finds itself responsible nor holds itself accountable in any meaningful way. So yeah, Secretary of State corruption under the Hillary Clinton control, that wasn't during the Trump administration. That was back way on the other side of that, even way back there under Obama, and they're just now getting to it. Talk about being on the ball, right? Crazy stuff. $5 with Rolling Thunder. He says, I believe the government is intentionally running inflation high and holding bond rates low to inflate away the U.S. debt. $10 value menu soon. Oh yeah. This is all a sham. It's all a complete and total sham. They're going to claim that the dollar is strong. It's only in relation to other failing currencies. The dollar still is, and currently is maintaining the position as world reserve currency, but its value is taking a crap. Now they are just beating the shit out of the price of gold and silver. Hey, see, gold and silver are down. The dollar is really strong. It's valuable. Well, I don't think we're on the gold standard anymore, so you can't measure the dollar against gold. It's not pegged to it. It is not a gold standard. It is a fiat standard. Oh, and by the way, the CFTC and the Security and Exchange Commission, they seem to keep forgetting that they've already found JP Morgan and other banks guilty of manipulation, lying, and calling them criminal enterprises. They're not regulating. They're not CFTCing the trading houses in Wall Street. It is corrupt. Wall Street is corrupt. Wall Street is absolutely corrupt. And so to invest there is to accept the risk that goes along with that. But, I don't recommend buying gold stocks. I recommend buying gold coins if you've got that kind of money, or silver. Silver, of course, even gold bugs and gold lovers realize that silver is an even better way to preserve large amounts of wealth if you have it. Anyways, the point is that, the dollar, if you want to find out what it's worth, the value menu at Taco Bell or Burger King or McDonald's is a better way to tell what the value of the dollar is. Because, the $10 value menu. Food has gone up incredibly just in the last month. Absolutely stunning the amount of inflation we're seeing. It is moving into hyperinflation, folks. Moving into hyperinflation. Chart for inflation goes like this, and as the currency starts to fail, it turns straight up. Every currency that has had modern monetary theory by any name is going to result in hyperinflation, the destruction of the currency. It's a foregone conclusion this is coming. They're not going to change anything. I used to believe naively believe that the government would fix the problem. They would see what you need to do and fix the problem. Nope. They're kicking the can down the road. They're trying to hide it. They can only do two things. This is right? They talk about the toolbox they have, the Federal Reserve, the Treasury. Oh, we got lots of tools in our toolbox to fix things. No, you don't. You got two things: price of a bond, or the interest rate on a bond. They can control that, and how much money they print. That's the other thing they control. Interest rates, currency production, or currency issuance. That's all they can do. That's their tools. They don't have any other tools than that. They'll talk about all the great tools they have. Well, we can lower it some more. Well, we can lower it some more. What? The interest rate. Oh, I thought you had other tools. Well, we're out of currency. We need to print all this currency and just hand it out. All these programs. Well, now the chickens come home to roost. Inflation is here, folks. That's why food preps, buying food for emergencies is now also an investment. All right, let's move on if we shall. We got 556 donation, super chat donation from Mega Dave WTP. He says, I travel state to state for work. I bring my gear, my self-defense tools, AR, pistol, level 4, etc. Rather have it and not need it than need it, not have it. Your thoughts? I exactly believe that. What good is a tool if it is not in a position to be used when called upon? Now, you travel from state to state. That is state to state. Every state has rules a little different. This is a problem I have when government interferes with a right. One state may say your weapon, your tool needs to be locked in a case and kept in the trunk, when the ammunition has to be separated from it. Another state may have it completely different. Your ammunition needs to be in the trunk, and this needs to be out in the open so it can be visible. If you put it in a locked case, well, that constitutes concealing the weapon. And so you're concealing a weapon. No, I thought I had to lock it and keep it secured so nobody could use it to commit a crime, right? Well, yeah, you better put a trigger lock on it and then conceal it, but you shouldn't be, it's fucking ridiculous. So if you're working from state to state, please, wherever you're at, be fully informed so that you comply with all the rules and you don't run afoul of some asshole who's had a bad day or is a Democrat with a badge who wants to do nothing more than make your life absolutely fucking miserable. Now, Rudy with Studio Rio checks in with a $30 PayPal super chat. And he is the urban Aboriginal. Great, awesome, folks. If you want to do some primitive stuff, you want to check out how to survive, go to the urban Aboriginal studio. And thank you very much, Rudy. He had nothing to say other than that, but folks, there's so many of you are just dynamite people. And you're everywhere. And I think this is a problem for the government, is that we are everywhere and we are good people. And we're going to discover, or rediscover rather, as Americans, as human beings, that we have rights and that they are inalienable and that they are supreme. Our rights are supreme. The government is not supreme, the people are. And they're going to discover it. They're going to discover the courage of their convictions. They're going to rediscover that. And it has nothing to do with race or age or gender or anything. It has to do with who you are as a human being. And it's incredible where I'm at right now. It's incredible the people I meet, folks. And there are some Democrats. I found them. And they are, and they can be assholes. But there's way more good people. Way more good people out here. And it'll be interesting, folks. It'll be scary. It'll be heartbreaking. And it's also going to be very interesting. That term, when you live in interesting times, yeah, you are there. Brad Jones checks in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Brad. We are at 2 hours and 20 minutes counting. He says this is what Brad says. He says, why can't we get other countries to go free capitalism? Well, the reason is because capitalism has been demonstrated to stop, slow down, prevent international corporations, mega corporations from taking over. You see, they don't like capitalism. The United States no longer is a functional capitalism economy. The free markets do not control interest rates. The free markets don't determine how money is loaned. The free markets don't put valuations on property. I'm talking real estate now. The free market doesn't control agricultural commodities. The free market doesn't determine the value of resources, minerals, metals. All of it, one way or another, is being manipulated, controlled, supported, subsidized by the Federal Reserve banking system and the United States Treasury. Everything is manipulated, so it is not a free market. Interest rates are artificially low. They're not being determined by market demand. They're being artificially held down to try and stimulate the economy by saying, hey, look, you can get this money at a low interest rate. So come and borrow it. At the same time, like, why should I borrow your fucking money at whatever interest rate it is and take a chance with my business when I have to compete against Lowe's, Home Depot, Target, Walmart, who are just going to absolutely crush my business? What makes you think I want a low interest rate loan so I can have my business get just fucking hammered? Same with restaurants. Right? The government makes it impossible with their regulatory horse shit to open a business and be profitable. They make it extremely difficult. So why should anyone take that chance? Well, because it's cheap money. It's artificially cheap. Well, who's borrowing that money then? These large corporations, they're borrowing the cheap money. They're opening up more of their stores because, oh yeah, the government turns a cheek to them, turns an eye to them, allows them to get away with stuff. And they have the systems already set up, and they have a statistical advantage. They know where they can put a business. They have all kinds of resources to figure out where they can go to make money. Walmart will open a store here, but they'll shut one down over here because it's no longer profitable. They don't give a fuck. They make so much money, they can do that. Mom and pop, regular people? No, it's a whole different world, right? This is not a free market. This is a controlled market, AKA crony capitalism. And if you want to talk about how this market interacts, relies on government, government rewards corporations, corporations then turn around and support the government, it's called fascism. We do not have a free market capitalist system. We have a controlled market, and they tend to, I'm going to use the word disenfranchise the common business owner and screw over the middle class and destroy it. That's right. Welcome to George Orwell's fucking nightmare. We got Two Owls checks in with a $3 super sticker. Thank you, Two Owls. Woo! What a night. And folks, last week was a bitch. This weekend, look out. This coming week, giant question marks everywhere. Just what is going to happen? Question marks. Shit has hit the fan. We know that, do we not? It is absolutely hit the fan. What is next? What is coming next? We can take some guesses. Bernard Shreve checks in with a Bernard Shreve Jr. checks in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Bernard, or super sticker. Yeah, it's incredible, folks. What's coming? I know it's all SHTF related because that's all I can count on at this point. If there's one thing government can do, folks, I guarantee one thing government can do every single time they do it, and it is screw up. That is what they are absolutely terrific at, is screwing up. Hey, dude, seriously, man. Hey, dude. Dude seriously checks in with a $5 super chat donation. And he says, hey, John, what's your thoughts on BlackRock? This is a financial investment question, folks. My answer to BlackRock is these huge investment funds, hedge funds, and companies, they're incredible, right? They say this is where the market's going. It's very safe, and then it's just not good. It's not pretty, folks. the concerns over the market are real and legitimate because everything is so manipulated, right? You know, whether it's Gunlock or oh my God, it's a fucking mess. It is a mind-boggling mess. Wall Street, the financial system, these investment firms. You know, we got Ray Dalio, you got Jeff Gunlock, you've got all these brilliant guys. They're making billions of money, but there's also this huge fear factor out there. You know, interest rates were being told it was good to be low, dovish. We need to be very dovish on interest rates, and everyone supported that. And now they're going back the other way, saying, "No, we need to raise interest rates. We need to raise them." And now but that's hawkish. But no, that's good now. We need that. They keep changing their mind about everything. BlackRock and these big firms, folks, they're always going to make money. If you can get on their coattails, if you like that sort of thing, I get it, right? If you play that game, I get it. I understand it. It's just they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell us the way to make the money. They're going to make the money because they're tied in with government. They're tied in with the banks that control things. They're tied in with the Federal Reserve. They know where interest rates are going to go. They get to know ahead of time so that they can position themselves to make money. So, you know, that remember the old E.F. Hutton joke. You know, if E.F. Hutton talks, people listen, right? For investment advice. That was a long time ago for one. And by time word gets out on the street, the ability to position yourself has been lost. Right? You're chasing after stuff. That's why I really think Wall Street is such a terrible place to put your assets, unless you know ahead of time where the market's going. Unless you know ahead of time what is going to happen, and that you're positioned well ahead of time, you're taking a lot more risk. But folks, life is risky, right? It's crazy. Yeah, just keep watching the markets. It's a good indicator of how things are. Right? When I hear the chairman of the Federal Reserve addressing, right, at an FOMC meeting, the cerveza bug, it's like, dude, you're in charge of the money. Why are you talking about cerveza bug? What does that have to do with anything? Well, we think more people need to get a tequila shot. What does that have to do with the money? Right? I don't call BlackRock and say, what cheese do you advise for my hamburger? Right? It's a non sequitur. It doesn't make any sense. But it's that jacked up. It's that manipulated. You may as well, you know, call Merrill Lynch and ask them, you know, for advice on a healthy diet. Right? It just makes no sense. It's non sequitur. It doesn't matter. It does not follow. That's the world we live in. It's so confusing now. How do you keep up with it? Interest rates are down. Interest rates are up. You need the dollar. Get out of the dollar. You, my friend, are a white radical extremist, and you're a national security threat. Never mind those guys with machine guns in the Far East that are trying to sneak in through the southern border of the United States. Never mind the radicals in the country who are actually threatening people and committing acts of arson, violence, looting, and destruction of personal private property. You, my friend, are the extremist and the national security threat. That's the world we live in, and the moon is made out of cheese. Which flavor? I'm going to have to get Ray Dalio on the phone to answer that. All right, we got Bernard Tree Jr. with a 556 donation. He says they are starting the mask encouragement wearing in the mitten state, and some people are losing their minds here also. It's coming. I started earlier in this talking about the father who showed up to pick up his kid at a school that I was pretty familiar with as a young man, and saw his daughter with a mask on, and he got very frustrated and angry, and some teacher got in his face, and interestingly, the teacher ended up in the hospital. I guess that guy was not teaching the dark arts at Hogwarts, nor mixed martial arts skills, and this father fucked him up. Folks, it is just beginning. Down in Los Angeles this weekend, Antifa decided to come out and object to people who wanted to exercise their First Amendment right to redress, to complain, to protest in a peaceful manner against the mask requirements and all that bullshit down there in Los Angeles. So Antifa came out and decided they were going to try their violence. There's a lot of good video of them getting their asses handed to them. It still didn't look like a mixed martial arts fight. I'm sure the fight on the school grounds there probably looked similar, right? Not all of us are trained to strike with our hands, our elbows, our feet, our knees, the way Rico Verhoeven does, or Mike Tyson, or anybody else, right? But people will fight back, and they're starting to. I don't need to encourage it, folks. I don't encourage violence, nor do I glamorize it. I just know that it is coming. Prost, salut, cheers. Here's the freedom, folks. Right now, I have the freedom to drink water imported from Scotland. Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, Steve Conlon. Thank you to everybody who's contributed to my Scottish water regime. And I want to thank you, folks. We are in big trouble. Please get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Sunday Night Live, we're at the zoo. I'm going to hang up the phone. Remember when you used to use your phone line for internet? You had to dial up, beep, 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 right? And then it's like no one could call your house because you're on the internet. Interesting how far we've come. Remember when you had freedoms and liberty and you could do what you wanted? Now you can't. So it's interesting how far we've come into tyranny. And people are just now starting to get really, really fucking pissed and tired of it. The damage has been done to our country. Absolutely done. Being a prepper is your way out of it. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan, folks. Get it together. Literally, get all this stuff together. Food is now a better investment than Wall Street. Maybe BlackRock will come out and say, yeah, you need to get lots of food. If you're going to make 20 or 30, 40, 50%, maybe 100% on food in the next 12 months, would it surprise you if a pound of hamburger went from, it was $3 a pound, up to $6? That's 100%. You're not going to make 100% on Wall Street, folks. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Wouldn't be prudent. But it would be prudent to make sure you have enough food for you and your family, and also consider it an investment. Think of other things: water, clothing, self-defense tools. They're going to be harder to get, and they too will get more expensive. Do what you can. Rick O'Connell checks in with a 556 super chat donation. How you doing down there, Rick? He says this: if we've learned anything from the Afghanistan situation, is this even a poorly equipped, sparsely trained group of militiamen can take over a country? Let me use your language here. A poorly equipped, sparsely trained group of militiamen can confound a military that has jets, drones, satellites, helicopters, tanks, light infantry, heavy infantry, expeditionary forces, special forces, grunts, supply lines, supply trains, Navy, a bunch of backward ass fucking Afghanistan hillbillies. They're living in the hills, folks. And it's not like they're heavily forested hills. These are like craggy ass scrub brush bullshit hills. And they're out there hiding and living in that with satellites and helicopters, jets, drones. Couldn't defeat them. We pull out, and now these people run the country again. Isn't that just absolutely stunning? So does our government think that they can in the United States of America, which is a much bigger piece of real estate, that has a lot more people who are not poorly trained? Right? You have very well-trained people here, that they're going to subdue the American people? No, I don't think so. They can convince you. if they can convince you that they can take over the country militarily and run this place dictatorially and be tyrannical, despotic assholes, if you allow them to do that, then yeah, they will. They will. That's their goal, is to convince you that they can run this country that way. They can't do it in Afghanistan. They can't do it here, especially with the members of the military. They would say, I don't think so, Jack. Hey, folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Get prepared. Semper Fi. Godspeed to you. And I'll be back tomorrow, Monday,